Hello and welcome. How are you doing today? I hope everything's fantastic with you. I hope you're feeling healthy. I hope you're feeling awake. I hope you've had a good night's sleep. I hope you're beginning to get motivated about losing some weight. And thank you for being here with me and showing your faith in this course. Today, it's another nice day in Tenerife as always. And we're going to be looking at 4 ingredients or 4 parts of a diet that lots of people think about when they go on a plant-based diet and wonder whether it's the right thing for them because of these 4 things. And they are protein, calcium, carbohydrates, and fats. Well, I know the first one on the list, which is protein. I mean, we've discussed protein a number of times in this course, haven't we? So I don't want to repeat myself too much, but the basic message on protein, and you can find that I mentioned protein a lot in the fiber section, which is also in this module, and in module number 8 on objections, there's also a whole page and a whole video on protein. But if we're switching to a plant-based diet and our objective is to lose weight, which in this module it absolutely is, the message is basically the same. We don't need to get stressed about protein. I know we've all been told, haven't we, all our lives how important protein is, but basically we can more or less ignore protein. If you're eating a balanced plant-based diet, you will absolutely be getting enough protein. And if you follow my ingredient suggestions on the Getting Started module, by now you'll know exactly what you should be eating. And if you eat those ingredients and incorporate those ingredients into your diet, you'll absolutely be getting enough protein. And you know, as I've said before, have you ever heard of anybody who ever died of a protein deficiency? No. Don't worry about protein, it's all taken care of. So, and then we come to calcium. Now, calcium is a really important part of our diet. And what I didn't realize is that it's not just people on a plant-based diet who have to worry about calcium, it's also people on a normal animal-based diet who have to think about calcium. I didn't realize just how deficient people on a normal diet are in calcium. You know, we've all been told, haven't we? As long as you drink plenty of milk, eat plenty of cheese, plenty of dairy, don't worry about calcium. But actually, people on a meat and dairy-based diet are also, or can be often, calcium deficient. So we should think about calcium, and we should make sure that we're eating lots of foods that include calcium in our diet. Again, if you follow the tips in the Getting Started sections and what I'm going to eat and all the rest of the things on this course, you will have found by now the right foods. But on this page below, under the calcium section, there's a whole list of foods, plant-based foods, that are loaded with calcium to make sure we get our sufficient calcium intake. And remember that it's a fallacy about milk being good for our bones. Many studies have shown that milk and dairy are actually not good for our bones, that they actually lead to osteoporosis. So it's we've been lied to. You know, I mean, I've mentioned I think it's in the one of the other sessions in this module, I posted a picture of the school children, didn't I, drinking a small bottle of milk, because we've been lied to by the milk and dairy industry about how beneficial cow's milk is, but it's not. When we're adults, it's not beneficial. It actually becomes acidic, and it makes our bones actually become more brittle. So don't worry about not drinking cow's milk, and don't worry about not taking in any dairy. On a plant-based diet, you don't need any of that rubbish. So you can move away from that. The next one the next one of the 4 is carbohydrates, and there are lots of low carb diets out there, aren't there? And I think we've kind of got this fear of carbohydrates, that we think, oh, if we eat carbohydrates, we're automatically going to get fat. First of all, we have to realize that carbohydrates provide us, it's the easiest of all foods for our bodies to convert into energy. Carbohydrates are what fuels our bodies. If we cut out carbohydrates, yes, our bodies can make sugars and so on from the fats that we eat and from the protein, but we want to be giving our bodies carbohydrates. That's what we were designed to eat. Many people think that we are actually frugivores, not herbivores, that we were actually grew up eating fruits. That's why we have colour vision, so we can see when the fruits are ripe. These are pure carbohydrates, so we want to be eating the foods that we were designed to eat. And as I've mentioned before in this whole module, if we're getting a balanced plant-based diet and we're cutting out all of the animal products, then we can eat as much as we want and we won't gain weight. And for many of us, we'll lose weight. And I really hope this is the case for you. So it's time to rediscover carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, but also grains. Just make sure that they're whole food grains, that they've got plenty of fiber in them. Because fiber is the thing. Fiber is the key. So lots of carbohydrates with fiber and you'll do just fine. Don't worry about carbohydrates. And the last one on the list, of course, as always, more text below. The last one on the list is fats. So guess what causes heart disease, cholesterol, what else? Obesity, overweightness, the whole thing. Well, one of the main culprits is saturated fat. And where do we find saturated fat? Of course, it's only in animal products. So just by cutting out all the animal products from our diet, we're already cutting out the vast majority of saturated fats in our diet. Fats from plant sources, so olives, avocados, coconut oil and so on, are actually a lot more healthy than animal-based fats. So just simply by doing that, we're helping our weight loss. But I have to be truthful, fats are not necessarily the best thing for weight loss. So we should be aware of the amount of fat. If we want to lose weight, which we do, don't we? We have to be aware of the amount of fat that we're eating. So I know I'm trying to cut down my fat intake now. So when I make a salad dressing, I try to use less and less fat. So in my case, I use olive oil. And I try to use more vinegar because, as I mentioned in one of the previous sessions, vinegar is actually really good for weight loss. So just a simple thing like that, trying to reduce the amount of oil in a salad and increase the amount of vinegar, finding salad dressings that are low fat, cooking with water rather than oil. All of these things will help us. But healthy fats from plants, and try not to eat too much of them because they are really, I know I love nuts. I could eat nuts all day, but they are very, very, there's lots of fat in nuts. So they say a handful is good, any more than that, and we might be starting to get too much fat. So as always, a lot more detail below, and what I've done below is I've listed a lot of the foods that are great. The plant fats foods are listed below, foods that give us lots of protein, foods that give us lots of calcium. I've listed them all below, and there's also a lot more detail below as well. So thank you for being here for this session. I hope you're doing well. I hope you go on to have a lovely day, or if it's the end of the day, I hope you have a good night's sleep, and I'll see you in the next session. Thank you. Bye-bye.